All right, good evening, everyone. For those of you who are watching Super Metroid, thanks for sticking around for our Final Fantasy Randomizer League. We are in Stage 6 of our league. This is our Alignment Lawful category. If you like defense, there's going to be plenty of it tonight. Our party setup consists of 1 fighter and 3 white mages. I am joined here in the commentary booth by Nitz, one of our developers, and new commentator connoisseur, if that's the right word. Nitz, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing just great. This is the second race I've commented so far this stage. The first one was like a real barn burner that you had the displeasure of just narrowly losing, and I'm really hoping that we have something just as exciting tonight.
Well, it's good to see that we're going to deal with repressed memories right off the start, but we're going to be getting going here just a few seconds. I can tell you there's not a whole lot of offensive firepower to be had, and these white mages are going to have some undead spells, and if they're lucky, fade early. If they don't have any of those, we're going to see some super defensive strategies. It's a flag set that kind of encourages a little more conservative play, but can definitely, you know, if you find the right items, can definitely pack some offensive punch.
Speaking of finding the right items, we are underway. Let's see what we got in the White Magic Shop in Corneria. We got some Cure 4, we got Wall, we got Harm 2. What more could you ask for?
I mean, speaking of defense, I mean, Wall and Cure 4 right there is a really awesome play. And then Harm 2 could come in handy.
And we got us an Iron Smashy Hammer in the weapon store. We'll get the job done to start with. Everybody can equip that, and it's nice and cheap.
We have a 30,000 gold bracelet. That's going to be a little cost prohibitive early.
And an $8 chain, so at least the fighter gets something to start with.
We see Fuchsia equipping all of his characters with the hammer, so we're going to see a lot of hammer swinging going on here.
Yeah, it's going to be hammer time for a while because the price is right, but you should probably find something for that fighter pretty soon.
Definitely having flashbacks to Stage 2.
We don't talk about Stage 2. I put that in the past just like you put the previous race in the past.
So one of the functions that we've seen a lot of since this league started was our early bridge flag, and yet all 3 of our featured runners are going right for Temple of Fiends, probably looking for money or some sort of castable item early, as opposed to going off and fighting the pirates.
Yeah, no AoE yet, so the pirates aren't so tempting, and you've got, you know, whatever spells you picked up that makes it so Garland's going to be a little bit less scary. I see 2,300 bucks in TOF. What else we got in the top left corner here?
I think it looked like exactly the same amount as the bottom one.
Yeah, it is.
Any, is that intentional? Is that completely sheer luck?
Yeah, so anytime a chest in the vanilla game would have a certain amount of money, it gets divided by whatever ratio it is that makes the gold boost bonus. And so if there were 2, say, $5,000 chests, and they got divided by whatever it takes to make it 23, 22, or whatever that was, then you're going to get 2 of those. So it's just a function of the randomizer.
Yes, and for those of you commenting in chat, we certainly appreciate that. Let's keep the conversation going. But they're talking about Fuchsia's female sprites. That is actually a ROM hack by one of our racers, Terralyn. If you go to romhacking.com, if I got the website right, you will look for the Valkyries of Light ROM for Final Fantasy. They then use that ROM, which is exclusively a visual aesthetic hack. They use that then to go on to the randomizer. .net. Thank you, Melee Wizard.
Yeah, the graphical changes that actually involve new sprites and stuff are not distributed through FFR. So usually you can apply whatever visual ROM hacks you want ahead of time, and then input that into the randomizer to get the finished product. The changing of the background color in menus is a feature of the randomizer, and so is that alternate battle UI that's more like Final Fantasy 2 or 3. So those you can trigger in the randomizer, but the alternate sprites have to be provided ahead of time.
And just to make you guys aware, we have 3 featured runners, but we do actually have 1 runner off-stream, Quicklit, who is also looking to clear out that chaos point. For those of you familiar with our scoring system here, we run a point system based on the percentage of time finished after first place, and so you take your best time. And so these runners are, it's Fuchsia definitely, Zalop definitely, and Quickly definitely looking to clear out that point. In that monologuing, we saw that the Ice Sword and the Zeus Gauntlet were picked up in Matoi's cave. That's a very nice find.
Yeah, the Zeus Gauntlet, well, the Ice Sword's a fine weapon, but in particular, the Zeus Gauntlet's going to be super handy in this upcoming pirate fight. it'll take them all out, whoever manages to get it off. So no matter how bad they are, we can be fairly certain here that the pirates shouldn't be too much trouble.
Yeah, we see, speaking of trouble, it looks like Fuchsia is just coming across and clearing Garland, but having a little struggle with that. I think one or two of the runners ended up skipping the Garland fight altogether.
Yeah, you can always come back for Garland. With the early bridge, you don't get anything for defeating him except for porting back to Corneria and the eventual... And of course the loot, but piece of cake to grab that later. On the road to Provoca, we see some mad ponies and some iguanas, but nothing too dangerous out of them, so... Looks like smooth sailing in the early going, and what that usually means is choppy waters further on down the line, because those randomized skills and stats got to be somewhere.
We can certainly hope.
See, I always have the pleasure of watching, so I'm always hoping it's horrible. I don't have to worry about the actual empathizing with the runners themselves. Ooh, yeah. That's a pretty good magic shop in Provoca, too, with Life 2 and Exit.
That Life 2 is actually going to be huge, because if you find the tail early, all of the level 2 white magic will be open to the fighter when he class changes to Knight. So ideally, you want to get your tail before your fighter hits level 15 for optimal getting up to the 4 charges that he caps out at. Depending on what level they end up getting to, you could be a little flexible with that, but that Life 2 is going to be huge.
Zelnop, the first of our featured runners to take on the pirates. The Zeus Gauntlet should make this fight fairly straightforward, as long as that white mage gets to go before the pirates do.
Yeah, it looks like the pirates have gaze, so hopefully the gaze doesn't go off on the one that has the Zeus Gauntlet.
Fingers crossed. And there it is.
No Blaze Pirates today, folks. It looks like Fuchsia's going to run with 2 white mages this game. I think that might be a sound strategy if you don't have something like a Fade very early, because you're definitely going to want some levels, especially to survive, say, I don't know, a double nuke chaos. And so the 2 white mages will allow you better survivability if you share those experience pools over 3 characters instead of 4. With no Fade, it's definitely looking like potentially a 2 white mage strategy will be beneficial.
And a little bit of consolation, no Fade yet, but relatively affordable pro rings, only $1,800 each, so it won't be long before everyone's party is fully kitted out with those.
Yeah, and depending on what kind of money distribution you have this game, it might be good to just buy those outright. You'll find, I think, 3 in the game somewhere in some chests, but if you can get those on early, they could be a huge boon to your party.
I think there's just 2 in chests, and 2 pro capes, and of course 3 ribbons.
So now we got Salty Fry, who has completed his bout with the pirates, and Fuchsia's heading in to check the spells over in the White Magic Shop, and we'll be making the pirate runs shortly.
So far, all the routes pretty similar, and that could be just a product of the the initial offering. No Fade, no particularly tricky choices to make yet. But here's Zelnop heading out to see if the pirates, or sorry, pardon me, if the dwarves are going to be lazy, and that might be a route divergence. We'll see if everybody does that.
Yeah, definitely. And with the lack of money early, I think Temple of Fiends is usually a good run, especially without that solid AoE magic early. If you had Fade at 1, perhaps you would have seen that divergence, but not in this case. Our off-stream runner Quicklet did the exact same thing, so no route divergences yet. Well, let me rephrase that. Salty Fry has decided to see if Harm 2 is satisfactory in beating the Zombies, and it looks like they're encounter 2 on the table.
Yeah, he's got Harm 2 and a Zeus Gauntlet, right? So there's quite a lot of AoE there if he wants to play with it. But he's being pretty selective. There's the Zombies he's looking for.
Yeah, so we're going to see here shortly how good or bad the Zombies will be to his party. Because if he can get to 8 fairly quickly, that'll get you 1 charge of level 4. You had a 50-50 shot of seeing Fade in the first 4 levels.
They're not friendly, I'm afraid. They've got quite a bit of health. Oh, wow. Almost 250 health, I would say. And they're hitting pretty hard.
Yeah, Zombies are not looking good this game. Well, yeah, that one on the bottom right took a whole lot of damage before he went down. It's interesting though, the Zombies actually could tell you a couple of things. Depending on how tough these Zombies are, depends on whether or not somebody might select to take a route divergence to cast Lord Deals.
Well, there's some good levels for the tank.
You know, with that Ice Sword, he could be hitting pretty good.
Oh, yeah. 7 levels in one battle. That's what I'm talking about.
Whatever was in Dwarf Cave, Zalnop was keen to walk it out, but it didn't look... I don't think it was anything significant. Probably a fairly good, large amount of money. So we're getting our first look at level 3 White Magic. Invis 2, Harm 3. Harm 3 is quite expensive for its level.
A little pricey. The Invis 2s are going to make their way around, though. You can't miss that.
Yeah, the Invis 2s at level 3 are going to be solid because that's the only thing that you really are going to cast by and large at level 3. Now Fuchsia's going to go take a look at the Zombies, and he's probably going to see exactly the same thing that Salty Fry saw.
We can only hope for his sake that he escapes with a 7-level victory, but taking on one at a time is a little safer. But tell that to his first white mage who just got one-shotted.
Yeah, if that white mage gets to... If any of those white mages get to 8, it's one charge of level 4, which I actually... Oh, there's a cheap bottle in the items in Elflin at 4150, and Zalnop just goes ahead and buys that bottle early. I don't know that I like that move.
It's pretty easy to come back for him, you know, the airship, something like that, but this way you won't forget.
4150 was probably... 80% of his current money, and I did not see what was in the level 4 magic shop, so I'm assuming he already picked up what was there if there was anything of worth.
Some cheap copper bracelets.
Cheap copper bracelets is not a terrible play early, depending on how cheap and whatnot. It's 8 absorb, and certainly, 8 is better than 0.
Check that. 4 absorb. And 4 is only half as much better than 0.
Right.
Still, though, for $80, I could see it. It's not going to get in your way. It's not going to be... you're not going to need those $160 back for the 2 coppers you bought. So it's just not that much.
It's about 6,800 gold in the Dwarf Cave, which is probably good to walk out.
Yeah, that'll finance your Elfland spending, right? Unless you're Zalnop and drop 4K on the bottle, which you can't really use for half the game.
I mean, he's going to Marsh Cave, so perhaps just getting it now and getting it over with, who knows? If he finds a 10 or 20,000 chest in Marsh Cave, he could be justified in that action.
Meanwhile, Fuchsia's having a go at a full party of Zombies.
Boy, if he happens to clear this in any regard, it'll be a nice amount of experience, but if he can get one of his white mages to 8, like I said, he can get that first charge of level 4.
So, in your opinion, the getting the white mages levels at this point more important than getting your fighter levels?
No, I don't think it's more important. Certainly your fighter's going to be taking a brunt of the damage, and so having a high amount of health on your fighter is necessary, but here we've got Harm 4 at 4, and see, that's kind of a... I'm not going to say that's a big one, but Harm 4 really can get a lot done, especially if you decide you want to go to Castle Deals first or otherwise.
Okay.
I probably would have checked the Elfland spells before the pop grind. You would have found Harm 3 there, and at the very least, if you did what maybe Fuchsia Fantasy did, which obviously he's gaining a bunch of levels now, he made it through that fight. If you got to at least 5, you would have gotten that charge of Harm 3. A few of those would probably be easier to take down the Zombies. Get to 8, get that charge of Harm 4, makes it even easier. It kind of snowballs a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because once you get that first charge of Harm 4, then you can use that to level up and then go back in 10, right? It's just getting over that inflection point where all of a sudden the level up battles become so much easier than being just absolutely brutal like that first fight you just saw.
Yeah, and the experience rate is 4x multiplier, so you could see yourself getting to 12 probably no problem after you get Harm 4. You get one charge at 8, and then you'll get another charge of it at 9. Even if you've got to run back, hopefully you'll know at this point what a good encounter is to run back on the encounter table if there is one.
Yeah, we can see that basically in action. You were just talking about how Harm 4 is that much more powerful. Even Harm 3, which is available at level 3, was doing 100 damage to those bones, and it made those fights a piece of cake, right? If you're just flailing along with Harm 2 and not as many charges, you're a much weaker party than if you have Harm 3 and Harm 4 at your disposal.
Yeah, and at this point, levels are going to be kind of at a premium because we have not seen Fade in the top half of the magic list, which means once you get to level 5 magic... Oh, Scums have Stone Poison.
That's not going to be good.
Once you get to, if say Fade were level 5, I think you need 11 or 12 for that charge, and so it's like, okay, how do you get these levels? You know, and so it becomes a matter of trying to figure out where you can grind. With Harm 4 and maybe level 9 or level 10 or 11 White Mages, Ordeals might be a good play.
Well, that was not present for Zelma. But those Scums have a lot of the skills, so at least they're all tied up in one place. But they are a monster to avoid.
Yeah, definitely. They were Stone Poison and Stone Touch, so don't get anywhere near the Scums.
Hey, Cremate, too.
I hate Cremate so much. It's my least favorite. It's my least favorite skill, because it's like, it deals just enough damage to mess you up, but not so much damage like a Blaze or something that just totally wipes your party.
Yeah. In fact, the Ice Armor is right here, so the fighter is going to pick up resistance to Cremate, but he's one square away from it.
Boy, this has already turned into a somewhat interesting marsh cave, because Scum's interestingly, it's a more common encounter. It's not your 7 or 8.
Yeah, you've got a bit of a choice to make here. Are you going to start trying to Zeus Gauntlet these things? And if so, does that mean you're not going to try to run with your fighter, or are you going to give the Zeus Gauntlet to one of the White Mages? Because you really want to be able to use your fighter to run away. It's got a better chance than those White Mages, as terrible as their chance to run away is.
Yeah, it's going to be a really tough call at this point, because, you know, even if they have anything over, like, 23 hit points, you may not even get them on the first try with that Zeus Gauntlet.
Yeah. And whoever your party leader is has the slightly best chance of getting to go first out of all your party, just based on the way the turn order is decided. So, you have some choices to make.
If I remember right, I think the Scum's weakness is ice, isn't it? Muck's, I think, is either fire or lightning. I think Scum is ice.
I'm not sure off the top of my head. Usually their MDEF is not that great, so almost anything will work if they're low enough health. In the vanilla game, some of them have very low amounts of HP, so you can usually get away with it, but anything goes here in the randomizer, so they could be really tanky, you never know.
It's true. Yeah, the Scums actually usually represent a pretty big pain in the butt because of they have a high absorb rating, and so melee really does not do a whole lot of damage to them. Now, Salty Fry is going to give us our first look at the Wizards.
Don't forget the Zeus Gauntlet. Wizards are resistant to fire and ice, but lightning will cut through them.
We see Zalnop with another formation that can have Scums in it, the Arachnid Muck Spider fight.
Oh, and they have
the Arachnids had poison.
Boy, this is an ugly, ugly marsh cave. Living up to its reputation, without a doubt.
It looks like the Wizards just rolled melee. We'll find out here soon. The Wizards actually look I'll say semi-reasonable. Now we lost another White Mage, but looks like high hit points, but semi-reasonable in the lack of skills, lack of spells.
Yeah, if Final Fantasy is new to you and you're wondering why doesn't he run away like all the other fights, Wizards are one of the unrunnable battles. In Final Fantasy I, there are several encounters that are unrunnable. All the bosses, but others. And the game makes no effort to tell you this. You just have to figure it out for yourself if you're a kid. But he can't run away from the Wizards, so he has to fight them to the death.
Which he manages to do successfully. And thanks to life to it, too, he'll get that other White Mage up in no time. Oh, and they were guarding the TNT!
There we go. So he might just decide to book it out of here right now, but maybe he doesn't know just how deadly these other encounters are and might continue to spelunk to his own peril.
Yeah, we'll see. He's actually seen the stone Scums.
Well,
Arachnids, I think, also had the poison damage.
And this isn't going to be pretty. Oh, there goes all his cast of exit. Now it's a question: can he just get out of here with a tank?
See, I think if you're him at this point, I think if you get away from this run, you keep exploring and you figure out, because this is a wash. This is about to be a wash. Check those last 2 chests, see if they're any good. But now he's stunned, so
this is where the wheels come off. First you get stunned, then you get unstunned, and you're cured, and then you get turned to stone, and it's game over. I've been here several times. That's just my level.
Oh, scums also have trance, as if the scums were not bad enough.
And Salty's had enough. He just nopes out of there, and he'll try again. Oh. Well, Zelnop lost his fighter.
Oh, and I think he lost his everything else.
I'm not sure who has his Zeus Gauntlet, but yeah, not that White Mage. Yeah,
I think he's opting for some more levels at this point.
looks like. Might not be a bad choice. This is a bit of a tease Marsh Cave. You can get really far into it without any problem, and then all of a sudden, bam, it hits you at the bottom. And you have exit, too, so it's such a tease.
Yeah, we have... Oh, see, now Salty Fry's going and checking the 2 chests that I had said earlier that you should go and check, just to make sure.
Yeah. That's a good play. See, that's not something I would have thought of until recently, but you want to know what's there. You know that you're probably going to die anyway. At least garner all the intel so that you can make a decision once you know what's in all the chests, which ones you need before you go on.
The worst part is he needs that second row first on the left. That's where the ice armor is. And so he's got to make a play to the right and then all the way back to the left and then down and right one.
It's not a nice path if there's anything valuable out to the right.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty tough. And there's also, we have not seen scorpions. We have not seen werewolves. Fuchsia looks like he just cleared some werewolves. I didn't get to see if there was anything on that skill set. It looks like the possibility that Salty might just be foregoing the last 2 chests.
Well, there's nothing to feel bad about laughing. That's part of this game. In chat, I see people that are like a little bit of guilt for the loss of the runners' lives. The thrill of Final Fantasy is the risk of death. It is one of the deadliest JRPGs there is. And without that risk of death, the game loses its charm, I think. So don't feel bad that the runners are dying over and over again in the Marsh Cave. Embrace it, because that's half the fun of this game, is cheating death.
Yeah, definitely. It really wouldn't be very fun for anybody if all you did was cakewalk your way to the end.
And if the other thing I saw was a dumpster count. So there are stats being tracked. And at the end of the game, you'll see a combination of all the resets, hard resets, and the times the party has wiped. So if they press reset before their party wipes, it'll count as a reset. But if they actually see the party slain at the bottom, then you'll know that it'll get counted as a time that the party perished. So keep your eye out for when the run is finished, and you'll see just how many times they died and reset out.
Yep. The funny thing, it's so stupid that there's 2 chests left that we don't know what's in there. If you're the floater, it's a 2 in 91 chance that it could be the floater. If you happen to find the crown, it's higher. But just for the base, it's a 2 in 91 shot that it's the floater. But you can't not check them.
No, you gotta check them. I mean, you come this far.
So Zalop's getting an advanced look at the Frost Wolves. Hopefully the Zeus Gauntlet takes it down. Frost Wolves generally have low hit points. Sometimes they can roll high, but you'll see them later if we have to make an Ice Cave run. You'll definitely see them in Temple of Fiends Revisited. Looks like they have low hit points. Zeus Gauntlet's almost getting the job done. Salty's down to his fighter again.
If it's past your bedtime and you want to stay up till the end of this race, you've probably got at least another 90 minutes ahead of you. And that's if it goes well. Like a really fast stage 6 seed is 1.5 hours to 2 hours is a medium one. And this one's looking grueling, so I wouldn't be surprised if it eclipses 2 hours.
Yeah, I think the winner definitely comes. My prediction is the winner comes in after the 2-hour mark. It's just the lack of fade means people aren't going to get to plow through these dungeons, and then just how difficult this Marsh Cave is. you know, it's going to require something special to get out of it. One of the things about Zalnop and doing the Peninsula Power Grind is it's all well and good, but it doesn't give you that much more resistance to that stone poison the scums have. It really only gives you a little bit of that poison resistance, the resistance to poison that the arachnids have. And that's just on sheer hit point volume. As I mentioned, there's an off-stream runner, Quicklit. He is also struggling his way through the Marsh Cave. So no one has clearly gotten out to anything or otherwise stick to it. It's a fairly even race at this point.
It still is definitely anybody's race. Whoever emerges out of here. See, and it's curious because some people have come close, so they know that other people may have come close, and the psychology comes into it. If you escaped at this point of this run, would you think that you were winning? Because if you did, you would be, but you might not think it just because of how many times you've already wiped.
I think it depends. I think if you are on this side of 25 minutes, perhaps you think that, but if you're on the other side of 25 minutes, you wonder if you're the last one to escape.
And Fuchsia did escape, so now you're right on 25 minutes.
Yeah, Fuchsia's got to like his chances coming out of that. I mean, right at the 25-minute mark, you got to figure, you know, maybe you're the only one made it out. Maybe one other made it out. You know, the getting out of that marsh cave doesn't guarantee you're going to be the first victor. Just as making it out of a nasty pirate fight doesn't necessarily guarantee you the victor.
All right, so we talked about all the charges of harm. You thinking Ordeals is a good play, or do you think you dip into the Earth Cave? Do you go straight to Crescent Lake? What do you like the most?
It's a tough call. Earth's not a bad play with exit. The only problem is you can't beat the fire yet, or the Earth yet. I'm sorry. There's an Earth elemental that will guard four total chests of your 16 that you can search in the first 3 levels of the Earth Cave. So if you're okay skipping those 4 chests, or if one of those other chests happens to have the Mage Staff, maybe you give it a shot. But you have to figure whether or not you're willing to part with those 4. It's certainly looking like Fuchsia Fantasy's going to take a dive into the Earth Cave. At this point, I mean, I like Ordeals. It's low percentage, but with Harm 4 and the Zeus Gauntlet, you can kill the Medusas, you can kill zombie dragons, the mummies and whatnot. It's going to be a pretty good experience yield. So if you come out with nothing other than experience, you could come out ahead.
Fuchsia finds the heal helmet, one of the few caster items that, you know, you're not that excited to see in a seed like this. Healing is really not going to be this party's problem.
Well, not only that, it casts heal 1 instead of like heal 2, so it's really lackluster.
Better than a heal potion and a wooden stick, though. So you should just resets out of that one. We'll see what we got in the last room.
I mean, technically, it cannot be better than a heal potion in some regards. Heal potion guarantees you to get 30 health.
Fair. And you can use it out of battle. I'm going to go ahead and call a tent. I'm going to go call Earth 1 a total bust. Like a 2 out of 10 would not dive again.
Yeah, it's tough because you've got exits. So if you found something deep, then one thing you do know is the wizards are relatively feasible. You know, they don't cast any spells or whatnot. So when you get the wizards down on the 3rd floor, you can handle them. They're okay. And that, I think, is also a driving force.
Hey, a ribbon. That's all right. That made this all worthwhile. Or at least certainly more worthwhile.
Oh, definitely. Especially if he just quits right now. I mean, he's ahead.
Yeah, I think he's got the guts to take on the Earth. You only got to fight him once because you can exit out of here once you do.
Boy, that's a tough call to me because Earths are I would say weak to fire. They're just not resistant to fire, and so
bust out some invis too. Treat it like a boss. Yeah, you're gonna see some invis too here. Hopefully get those off.
You know, if he lives, the ice sword might do some damage.
Yeah, I think he's going to be okay with those two Casavins, Viz 2, and the Earth missing in the first round. Might take a while. We'll see how this goes. Salty is all the way over towards Crescent Lake. He's emerged. Zelnop's still looking for his TNT.
Okay, so the Earth has more than 300 hit points, but he's doing some pretty solid damage to it.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
He might actually take that fight on the way out if he wants to search B3. That was fairly reasonable.
Yeah. Searching B3 is it looks like it's part of the plan.
Yeah.
You don't see it as much because it's so sparse, and you start getting more annoying encounters. Oh boy.
It's weird because, I mean, if you get some of those kills down there, which it's tough with a 3 white mage party, but if like things like the werewolves and stuff like that rolled low hit points, or maybe if you're lucky the Georges rolled low hit points where your Zeus Gauntlet and some melee can overcome, you can gain some levels while you're down here.
I thought he was going for exit, but he pulls out the life 2 instead. So Fuchsia still liking his chances in Earth Cave. We'll see how this goes. Oh boy. Nothing like getting ambushed by a pack of wolves.
I just hate pack fights because you just, one, if they rolled anything time wasting or worse, it takes you a while to get through them, and two, if you wanted to try and chew through this fight, it's going to be a little while.
Alrighty, Zalnop has just about finished off his wizards, and Salty arrives in Crescent Lake. Let's see what we got here. Heals and Pures. Get your heals and Pures. Not a lot yet. White magic remains. Aha! There it is.
Fade at
Fade
6.
in the third slot.
Yeah, thankfully it's not the... I think slot 2 is the exit slot, right? Where exit is that 2 slot is white wizard only.
Yeah, he's still several levels away from having level 6 charges, so he doesn't look like he's in a hurry to buy it, but I would pick up a charge just in case I had some houses and gain some levels, but not interested. Looks like he's... Yeah.
Yeah, you have to get all the way to 16, though, so that might be something you just explore maybe after you get out of the volcano. Although, I gotta tell you, volcano this early is a very... It's weird to me. Like, I wouldn't have a problem if you were taking, say, the Thief of the 3 Black Mages and you knew you could overcome. But with no fade, a Zeus Gauntlet is your best item. I don't know if you take Volcano. It's a high chest density, don't get me wrong. And I guess with Exit, you could just get out at any time. But it kind of has that tendency to where, well, you're going to double dip this. You're going to go, you're going to check all the chests, and you're probably not going to be strong enough for carry, so you're just going to have to dip out and come back later. Whereas if you went Ordeals or potentially Earth Cave or even Ice Cave first, you could go to those places, gain those levels, and then come back and sweep through Volcano all at once.
Yeah. I feel the same way. I feel like what's missing from this Volcano play is some houses and some charges of Fade waiting to happen, right? If you can buy it for a couple of your white mages and come here with some houses, you can fight until you're almost exhausted and get out and life 2, use a house, go back in, and you can gain those 4 levels probably without too much trouble. It's 4 times experience, but without the houses and without the hope of being able to cast Fade, I don't think you're going to make it through.
And that's why I like the Ordeals play first, because even if Ordeals doesn't turn up anything, you probably are going to come out at 15 or 16 with just killing zombies, or potentially the zombie D fight, or Medusas. Medusas have pretty good experience output. We discuss go mode a lot when we talk about Final Fantasy Randomizer. We talk about how they're looking for the floater for the airship. We're looking for the crown and for the slab for progression items. But one of the things that often isn't really talked about a whole lot in this seat is a good fighter weapon. That actually has come into play. I think it was last game that really came into play, where a good fighter weapon was important for overcoming the upper end fiends in Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, and we got that right here. We even have the tool for the job for the Volcano, the Ice Sword. Pretty good stuff. Ah, we got a ruby on the 3rd floor of Earth. Look at that.
Does Fuchsia take the ruby bait?
I mean, it looks like.
Yep.
Yep. It's not too much of a departure. I don't know if you...
Did you see that? Shadows, our favorite ambushing ghosts, have Blizzard.
They sure do.
That was another thing we missed in the Marsh Cave. Brack, Blizzard, Shadows.
All right, what do we got? Oh, yeah. That's what we're talking about. Look at that. The Masamune and the Adamant and the Aegis Shield. The Titan was sitting on some fat loot there, and Fuchsia's going to be pretty pleased to pick his pocket.
Yeah.
Now, off to Sarda and grab the rod, or you just come back when you got the floater, because you know you're going to find it somewhere. Or
I don't know.
You do it because it could be deeper in Earth, right? And
it could.
It's totally a possibility.
The Ruby opens up 12 chests, including Titan's Trove and Earth B4, which does open up the possibility and the logic for the floater to be down in Earth Cave. Now, it's pretty light. Since we have not found the crown yet, it is a 8 in 99 chance that it is under Earth B4, which is less than 10%. It's pretty low percentage, but
on the other hand, you got white mages, and they've got, lots of casts of harm, and that basically is going to make Lich fairly straightforward. So you can actually just clear out Earth, which is something people don't tend to do, but this party really leans that way, doesn't it?
It kind of does, definitely, especially with the Masamune having harm 4. You definitely can even gain potentially 1 or 2 levels on the way out.
Yeah, the rare and misunderstood Earth Grind. We may just see it, folks. And it's so curious, what was originally just a little dip into Earth. Oh no, Fuchsia says, nah, forget about that, I'm out of here. Or just gonna hit up the end, maybe.
Yeah, who knows? I don't remember if he's picked up a house or not. If he hasn't, this is probably a fine play. But question in chat, why 3 white? That is one of the challenges of the stage 6 flags. We've had 3 of these alignment stages. The first one was our alignment evil, which was 1 thief and 3 black mages. Then we had our alignment neutral, which was 3 black belts and a red mage, and now we are at alignment lawful with his 1 fighter and 3 white mages. It's just another obstacle in party selection for our runners.
Alright, Salty spelunking the treasure trove, the armory, we like to call it, in Volcano. Let's see what we got here. Nothing to write home about yet that I saw.
Silver armor and a ribbon. That's pretty good.
That one we're gonna be happy to see. There's only 3 ribbons in the game, which is actually a significant number, but you can't buy them, and they provide resistance to everything. That includes all that nasty stuff that was killing them in Marsh and things like that, so you can't be happier than to find a ribbon.
Definitely. And now we know where 2 of the ribbons are in this game. 1 being in the Earth Cave, 1 being in the Volcano.
When it comes right down to it, 2 ribbons is enough. If you told anyone in the upper echelon, you got to tackle TOFR and you get to have 2 ribbons, they'd be like, all right, fine. 1 ribbon, but 2 ribbons is pretty good.
Yeah, if we were to have a debate on this exact thing happened in game 2 of this particular stage that I participated in. I had 0 ribbons and wall at level 1.
We do have wall at level 1, so that does make the ribbons slightly less valuable, but they're still just about the best piece of armor you can find, short of the big heavy hitter body armors for the night.
I definitely would never turn a ribbon down because you never know what an enemy is going to open with.
Yeah, 3 black belts does sound really OP, and if you level them up, of course they are. But the thing with it is, when you start trying to grind in a race, if you have all of them standing, you're going to fall behind people that just grind and leave 1 or 2 of them dead. So the trick is not so much that the party is easy, because at the end of the day, Final Fantasy Randomizer is not very hard. Casually, you can beat it in 1 sitting. The challenge is not beating it. The challenge is beating it faster than everybody else does. And that's where the party composition, though it seems easy, actually can pose quite a bit of a challenge, is getting that balance of beating the game, getting the levels you need, and having a strong enough party to defeat the Temple of Fiends Revisited the fastest.
Yeah, and definitely one of the challenges in this particular stage being level 6 Fade, there's not a whole lot of offensive firepower until you hit level 16, and so this particular stage is probably going to encourage our runners to level up quite a bit, even going down to 1 or 2 white mages. the black belt strat, as much as 3 black belts sounds really good, the majority strat in that was actually to kill 2 of your black belts and just run a 2-man party.
Yeah, and if you're thinking of picking this game up, I was just making the point, it is actually very beginner-friendly. Because of the leveling up aspect of it, if your seed is too hard, you can usually just grind a little bit more until your party's got what it takes to beat it. The Discord community that we've got going for the game is very supportive. New player help channel, love to get people bootstrapped and started. I'm no expert myself. I mostly work in development of the title, and we're always looking for new ideas and fun stuff to do. But from the beginners to the advanced players, everybody loves to welcome newbies into the community and get them started. And I find that the Randomizer really takes this game into the 21st century. With the sprinting, buying 10 items at a time, and all the other conveniences, all of a sudden it's a totally fresh coat of paint on what was a very painful game to play for us back when we were kids.
Yeah, definitely. And as we're trying desperately to get that information posted in the channel, feel free to give our Final Fantasy Discord a follow. It should be popping up here in the channel soon. As well as, if you like the action you see here, feel free to give our runners a follow. Also, if you're new here, feel free to give Speed Gaming and its auxiliary channels a follow. We certainly appreciate Speed Gaming for hosting us and for getting our community just a little more exposure.
Salty finds the rune sword and thinks about it, and then remembers it's nothing special and continues check not. And the last person we forgot to thank is our talented tracker tonight, Melee Wizard. Behind the scenes, lighting up those boxes so that we know what everybody has. Somehow the trackers can watch multiple games and keep them all up to date, and it's amazing.
And he's also occasionally correcting us in chat, too.
Somebody's gotta.
Also want to take this opportunity, while we're kind of reaching a lull, Fuchsia Fantasy is checking the bottom floor of Earth, and Salty Fry is kind of checking the bottom floor of Volcano. I want to take this opportunity to let you all know of our Final Fantasy Spring Tournament. I keep telling them it starts in May. It's almost summer, but we're calling it a spring tournament. And so feel free to jump on our Discord, get plugged in. We are actively discussing what kind of formats we want to use and how we want to kind of approach this tournament going forward. So we're definitely looking forward to getting new people involved, to getting veteran runners involved. And so just feel free to jump on. We've got our floater in the bottom of Volcano on B4 in the upper right-hand corner. So good find for Salty Fry.
Yeah, that's the kind of place where you should look for the floater first, especially when you're if you don't have a hunch, you don't want to do anything crazy, go to the Volcano because it's got the greatest chance of being there any given run. And people always complain they have trouble finding it or they're getting unlucky. Well, it was in the most likely spot, so you can't claim luck there. So I like the play, and there it is.
Well, the Agamas definitely aren't playing friendly. They got more than 300 hit points.
It's going to encourage people to consider their grind elsewhere. The thing I was driving at earlier about FFR, in the race aspect of it, is choosing where to grind that's going to get you the levels the fastest. And oftentimes, it's been the Agamas. But if they're particularly hard, there's lots of alternatives. So we'll see how this goes down.
If Fuchsia goes back and watches this VOD, he doesn't realize you can approach the very front of that chest without a trap tile. He waited for a little while for the bats. And it's a big old womp womp for the ruby locked items. Although Titan's Trove was very nice, Salty Fry is going to stop at Titan's Trove just after picking up the rod, and he's going to find just the same thing. So the advantage Fuchsia Fantasy really gained was the ability to kind of take out Lich right now with the Mass Immune, in which Salty Fry may not get to take Carry out. So we'll really see how that ruby advantage plays out.
Selnup and Salty still both just crawling their way to the bottom of the Volcano. Taking their time, getting their gear in order. There was a lot of treasure here, in addition to the floater we found. Weapons and armor, flame, shield, several items to consider. And you just want to make sure that you don't have your armor clogged up with garbage, because then when you try to pick things up, you can't. And the temptation to go into the menu every time you find something and equip it, something you can resist, because you can waste a good amount of time fiddling around in the menu. Wait till it's full, throw out all the crap, and then repeat.
Yep, that is definitely something I learned from Edgeworth that I still haven't actually applied to my gameplay, is that you don't have to check your armor menu every time you open a chest and find something you want to swap out. So we were about to take our first look at Lich until we ran into this pile of arachnids that cast poison damage. Oh, man, that was close.
Lucky escape with the White Mage. He's got the life 2, got the Cure 4s, and it's like nothing ever happened. If that White Mage had died instead of emerging with 18 health, it's a completely different dive.
Yeah, and Fuchsia has one of the 2 ribbons, and I believe he put it on the Fighter, so Fighter at least is going to live. Solo Fighter versus Lich is really not going to be that bad. We never give Lich any respect to begin with.
That might be what we're about to get. Oh, again! Escapes with exactly the same scenario. White Mage barely hanging on a life to a Cure 4, and we're right back to full. And that's one of the things about this party. It's just about unkillable. Like, if it's like a Hydra, if you don't cut off every head, it just grows right back.
So amazingly, thank you to Melee Wizard for being more up to date than we are. The slab was actually in that first room in B4 Volcano.
And Lich goes down after a hail of harms.
Question
Not
in
too
chat,
bad.
what will Lich have? Lich will have death.
I'll take the pie in half. Take the pie and cut it in half. Give each man death. I want the pie.
So Fuchsia Fantasies are first to light an orb in this particular match, but Salty Fry is running out to get his airship, so we'll see where some of the route divergences take our runners now.
Alright, you said Salty was going to go and get the rod and pillage the Titan's Trove right after getting the airship. And that has not happened.
Salty.
So we'll see.
Rule number 1 of getting the airship is you run and get the rod, because the last thing you want is to forget you need to grab that.
And you also, when you get the rod, will remember to check the Titan's Tunnel. And now you haven't done that either, and now you're going to make decisions without having the Masamune when you could have not had to even think about any of this.
Yeah, he's probably going to pick up the bottle while I was here if he hadn't already.
No, he didn't buy a katana. He sold a katana. I believe he found one in the volcano in one of the 2 chests at the top of the 2nd floor. And the katana is only equipable by a ninja, and we're not going to see any ninjas tonight, so it's just vendor trash today.
Yeah, with that amount of money, if I were Salty Fry, I'd just buy 10 houses. Just get it done. Get it over with.
Yeah, the house is the only world map saving item that restores MP, and you get 120 health with it too. It's pretty key. It lets you do overworld grinds where you need magic charges. It's handy to house up before going into places like Mirage Tower. It's nice to have a nice stack by the end of the round.
Harm 4 and Heal 3 being on the same level is pretty good. That way, if you're not going to use your Harm 4s, you can use them on Heal 3s. That'll be important when he gets down to, deep in the Temple of Fiends and whatnot. I was going to say Volcano, but he was already there.
Is there any value in getting Cure 3 when you already got Heal 3 at the same level? Is it better in any way? No?
No, because I usually like Heal 3 in that it's good if your party takes splash damage from like an AoE spell or otherwise. I like it before Volcano because you end up taking a lot of splash damage from the lava tiles. But if my choices were Heal 3 or Cure 3, give me Heal 3, definitely. Especially with Cure 4 at 1.
Yeah, does Cure 3 even do more than it on a single person at all?
Cure 3, I think it's par, actually, because I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 to 150 or 90 to 135. So it's kind of on par with Heal 3, though Heal 3, being that it's on all 4 party members, tends to be better. At least in...
Yeah, sorry to interrupt at the end there. Question from chat. How is 5 pro rings a thing? You can buy them, Galan, so it's no big deal. Even in the vanilla game, you could buy them, so... They just got shuffled into an easier shop, so they're all stocked up now.
So now Salty Fry's about to go, oh, okay.
Yeah. This is the Titan's Tunnel that we'll be talking about with Victor.
Yep. And so with Mass Immune and Adamant, it actually opens up an interesting strategy. You can actually get Excalibur for your Eventual Knight, assuming they find the tail. You could put Excalibur on your Eventual Knight, put Mass Immune on your White Mage, and then only switch that out for boss fights. It allows you to clear some single and double enemy trash. Anything, less than, say, 3 enemies on the board, which is going to be good when you get to, like, Sky Castle, Sea Shrine for Gersharks and whatnot.
Yeah, and the Pro Ring has 8 Absorb, meaning it's tied in Absorb for the best hand armor in the game, and anyone can equip it. So basically, it's the best hand armor for all classes, because in addition to having 8 Absorb, which ties it for first place, it provides death resistance. So that's the death element, but not necessarily all death spells use the death element, because Final Fantasy 1's a little confusing like that. There's lots of ways you can be instantly killed that are earth element or time element, but there are some death element skills like Toxic, which is poorly named, and others that it will protect you from.
So now Fuchsia's running around Cardia Islands looking for more free chests and more things to pilfer. Found a light axe in the last cave. That's going to be nice. It allows this fighter to help with the ghosts fight and any other undead fights where he couldn't participate on account of his lack of spells. So there's 2 things, in my opinion, there's 2 things we're on the lookout for. One that's not my opinion is we're definitely on the lookout for that crown. And secondly, we're probably on the lookout for the Power Gauntlet. We have not seen the Power Gauntlet yet, and we've seen it come up a couple of times where Power Gauntlet was almost necessary in our final fights.
Salty getting big time trolled by that dragon, but he deserved it. He pushed him into the one spot.
Yeah,
and now,
he really did.
Zelnop now rummaging through the Titan's Tunnel, and he'll be happy to find the best 2 swords and shield in the game.
Yeah, that's just pretty amazing. Basically the best 2 swords were right next to each other in the chests.
Yeah, the Adamant's not the sword, of course. It's the item that you have to give to the Dwarven Smith to receive the Excalibur. They can do that at their leisure now. They've got the airship, but the Excalibur is useless to them until they find the tail and get promoted, so nobody's going to bother in the meantime.
I mean, that's kind of why I said basically.
Yeah, no, that's why I clarified myself. You're absolutely right.
So Salty's going back with all that boatload of money he got selling the katana and picked up a couple of gold bracelets.
Yeah, it's always funny in every JRPG the transition from poverty to extreme riches. And Final Fantasy 1 does a nice job of letting you experience that on, like, a bullet pace.
Yeah, and it's actually, you go from one end of the spectrum to the other, because you could start at level 1 with less than 30 gold and spells that are, up to, I think, 75 or 90 gold. And so the discrepancy of that is really, really rough.
Oh yeah, we got lit 2 Achos. Another thing that you need to take care to do that is easy to screw up, and I've done this many a time, is getting the airship, getting really excited, and just scouring the world for all the so-called easy chests or free chests, and then running into some random encounter on the overworld against a deadly enemy that kills you and sets you back because you didn't save it a single time during your gallivanting journey around the world. So that didn't happen to Selma up here, but remember to keep tenting and saving people.
Absolutely. If you're new at Final Fantasy Randomizer, buy as many tents or cabins as you can and just save often on the overworld, because you just never know what's out there sometimes.
And Salty connects up with the ferry, which was released from the bottle, which he bought in Elfland, but he connects up in Gaia, it was about as far away as you can get, to pick up the Oxy Ale, which allowed him to go into the Sea Shrine, which is the 3rd dungeon. But before he does that, he picked up the slab earlier and took it to Dr. Un to learn the Leifnish language, and now he's going to take a long and perilous journey through this eastern jungle to get to Lafane and speak with the village elder there.
So he can get into Mirage Tower now, but he can't get into the floating fortress yet. He lacks the the cube from the other side of the world. So he's probably going to go hit up the Waterfall Cave and then probably Sea Shrine.
Yeah, the original Final Fantasy 1 was relatively open world after you received the airship. And the Lufenians have the chime that lets you into the Mirage Tower, but the cube that allows you into the top part of it is gated by a robot in this waterfall over here. But you can do all of these fetch quests in whatever order you like, which is pretty fascinating for a game this old as it is.
Yeah, I thought I was something special when I was a kid, because I would always go and do castle ordeals and get the rat's tail and do the class change before I would go and fight Carrie, and so I'd go into the Carrie fight with all of my class change stuff, not knowing anything about anything else or realizing it was a bad idea if you were bringing a black belt.
And Selma taking care of some Tyros on the overworld. Contentious subject.
Tyros look pretty friendly. They're going to be meaty and juicy to Zelnop.
Yeah, they're young and just fall off the bone, I guess.
Just kind of makes the words baby back ribs a little more morbid when you really think about it.
It's best that we don't think about it. And Fuchsia picks up the floater. That's always exciting. That's probably my favorite thing to find in a run.
It's funny because I know, and it's very interesting that Fuchsia went Earth, because I know Fuchsia hates going Earth first. And so to go Earth first and kind of discover what he did, and then he's going to go into the volcano and find the floater, he's going to go, well, I should have went here first. But, you know, you're going to run into the same problem that Salty Fry did, and Salty Fry just warped out without checking the Carrie fight. At least Fuchsia's in the good position to be able to take Carrie out now, provided his levels are good. But I mean, with Wall early, Invis 2 early, I like Fuchsia's chances against Carrie.
Yeah, I like them too, and I like the fact that Lich is down. You know, you have a pretty good chance of taking Carrie down, and all of a sudden you're actually done a couple of the fiends, and no matter what, the other people are going to have to go all the way back, walk all the way down and fight them, and they're going to have to fight every unrunnable along the way if they run into any of those. So there's a measurable amount of time that you've got sealed away now that you don't have to go back and do. So it's still too early to predict the result here by any stretch.
Yes, because Carrie has got to be friendly, and that's really one of the big deals about this, is to make sure Carrie's friendly. Alright, so our wonderful tracker melee wizard who points out things that we didn't. The Power Glove was in the Waterfall Cave, so now we've got Mass Immune and Power Glove and Invis 2 early and Wall even earlier. So this looks like it might be a very straightforward fight from here on.
Salty finds $60. Had to be a few. They can't all be winners, Salty.
Oh, Gersharks are definitely meaty. They've got over 500 hit points.
Time to get the Zeus Gauntlet out, dust that thing off. We haven't seen it since earlier in the run, but it'll stick by you the whole time. And Lit 2, pretty handy in the Sea Shrine.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting, because now we know where the Power Glove is. We've pretty much had everything line up in a regular order. We found our Massa in Titan's Tunnel. We've got our Power Glove in Waterfall. These are all straightforward. No one really has to go out of their way for them. It's going to be interesting to see where this crown ends up.
Alright, here's Fuchsia taking on Carrie. This will be interesting.
Yeah, so I'm predicting all the Invis 2s come out, and then then after that, the Walls will come out.
Yeah, Fuchsia's made the tactical decision to bring back her low-level white mage and put her at the front of the party. The character at the top of the party has a 50% chance of being targeted by the enemy for any targeted attack. and then the next one is a 25% chance, and the last two each have 12.5. So by doing that, Fuchsia's planning that Carrie will just at least spend one turn annihilating Aaron, give him one extra turn to fight.
And unlike other places, a level 1 white mage actually, or at least a level 2 white mage, actually has some function. She has 3 charges of level 1, which is basically the wall spell. If she doesn't get taken out, she can cure 4 like she just did, or cast wall in the opening turn like he did. So this level 2 white mage is actually going to work out.
Not to mention, with all the Invis 2s that Fuchsia threw up, like that level 1 character has dodged several attacks already, so complete dismantling of Carrie there. Carrie never really had a chance in that one.
Yeah, definitely looks like Zalnop is dinosaur hunting. So Fuchsia now has 2 orbs lit, has the floater, has the mass immune. It is only a matter of time before he ends up picking up that power gauntlet in Waterfall Cave. Being that he is 2 up actually over Salty Fry, I really like Fuchsia's chances in this match. The only competition he's going to have is with Quicklet, who's off stream.
Now, let's see how Fuchsia handles picking up the airship. Looks like we're headed to get the bottle.
Fuchsia's already done the Earth Cave, so Fuchsia doesn't have to go get the rod first.
That's right. Excellent memory. That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Lobsters with cremate, that's not terrible. But only mildly interesting. It looks like also lobsters rolled high hits but low attack power. So lobsters look like they're kind of friendly in this seed. But sometimes lobsters can be pretty rough.
You gotta watch out for the lobsters. You would never expect it.
This is a good fight. For Salty Fry, 3 whiz mummies and 3 paralisks. This is actually a high experience density fight.
Yeah, there are some enemies in this game that are disproportionately low EXP. They don't give you what they're worth, and there are some that probably give you more than what they're worth. And whiz mummies are one example.
Oh, but they have thunder.
Oh,
Easy whiz mummies.
Yeah, well, that EXP is you have to earn it now. Oh my. Well, that is not going to be pretty.
Well, now the experience gain would at least be proportional to their difficulty.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so somewhere between, what was that, 90 and 210 hit points. And glance, in case Thunder wasn't good enough.
This is ridiculous. Oh, can't run. Close call! The hero run. And again, like I said, this party's a Hydra with 9 heads. Like, you gotta kill the whole thing, otherwise it just comes right back at full strength. It's like that battle never happened.
Well, now I can at least take the time to say that I may have been, I don't want to say wrong, but that would have been something unpleasant to discover if you were in Castle Hills. Which actually brings a huge amount of respect for Salty Fry, who got over the trap tile in the Waterfall Cave. Because there had to be whiz mummies there as well.
Another of the famous unrunnables, the Wiz Sahag and Red Sahag battle from the Sea Shrine. It's also fairly common, very annoying. You'll get used to this if you play this one.
So we crossed the hour mark a couple of minutes ago, so let's do a little recap of what's been going on here in the 1 fighter 3 white mage fight. And so we had a volcano, floater, and slab, and we had the mass immune in Titan's Tunnel, we had the power glove in Waterfall Cave, and 2 ribbons, 1 in Earth Cave, 1 in Volcano. Other than that, nothing. I mean, Marsh Cave was Harsh Cave, but as you can see, all of our runners have made it out, so Marsh Cave wasn't the worst thing you could possibly see. And it's been a fairly straightforward match now. It's just going to be that slow kind of grind to the finish. Where are these players going to gain their levels, and how are they going to overcome? Is Temple of Fiends Revisited going to be another harsh environment, or are they going to let our players roll right over them? So that's what we're going to take the next hour to figure out.
I was pointed out in chat, Zelmop went all the way to Lefane, taking all of these battles to gain experience, but without having stopped by the Titan's Tunnel, even though he's got the airship to pick up all the amazing weapons and armor. So yeah, just overlooked an easy play, and it can cost you a lot of time. That's why we always say, go there right away.
And I mean, it's almost stone's throw from where you pick up the airship to Sardis Cave. And so I just noticed Zalmop does have the mass being equipped. Is that a graphical something or other that I'm noticing? Or maybe I just failed to notice.
Oh, there it is.
Or maybe he held the... I swear he was wielding the ice sword earlier.
Yeah, maybe he just grabbed it and forgot to equip it. We can go on a different rant about how that is also a terrible mistake, but I think everyone understands that one.
Yeah, it's like casting Exit in Temple of Fiends Revisited. Who does that?
That spell is cruel because it doesn't let you cancel, even though you think you can. So if you click A on it once to pick it, doesn't matter whether you click A or B, you're out of there. So
that would be a very nice feature to get fixed, but it's not really something worth griping over.
I've looked into it, but this is not the forum for that discussion. It's more work than I thought, unfortunately.
I wonder if he thought the ice sword was like strong against dinosaurs or something. I'm not sure.
That would be some pretty out there thinking. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that he just forgot, or thought he clicked it and didn't, something like that.
Oh, you know what I bet happened? I bet, and I've done this one before, is I've equipped it. Like, I would have saved and then equipped stuff, got to a fight I didn't like, reset, and forgot I had equipped the stuff before saving, or after saving.
Yeah, done that tons of times. Bought stuff, but saved it first or something, then wiped, and then just forgot that you don't have it anymore. Classic. All right, Salty's about to take on Kraken. Let's see what the 8-armed octopus got in store.
Yeah, let's take a look at 10 Punch Man.
Yeah, Salty also availing himself the opportunity to just slide the party leader down a bit. Sometimes in Final Fantasy, it's wise for you to command from the back ranks instead of leading from the front.
That Power Glove is on his top white mage. That's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. Bet he's probably kicking himself now. He just looked at his items.
Yeah. Whoops!
Can't tell you how many times I've done that one, too.
Oh, it's time for a storm of Invis 2s, and he even has, I think, a charge of Fog 2.
Oh!
Yeah, that's it's not going to be pretty.
It's a good solid hit, though. Power Glove is definitely not necessary for this Kraken fight.
Yeah, this might be over pretty soon, actually.
The enemy percents go up to 220%, so Kraken's base health, if I remember, it's 800, so you're looking at 1720 or something like that.
That's some good
the highest he could possibly have.
And in fact, he has less than like 700 by my count. So that one's over. And Salty escapes, even though he forgot to put the power bomb cut in his fighter. Alright, so Salty lights his water orb, doing things a little bit out of order, but not unheard of. Now, time to double back and check those mermaids. Salty's still looking for the crown, and the mermaids have a huge pile of chests that, since you're close, you gotta check.
Yeah, we're gonna go see our ladies, see if they've got anything to offer us tonight.
Sforzondo is very good at memorizing all these things. You know how many chests there are in the mermaids?
I want to say 13.
Is that on the way there, or just the mermaid's floor?
Just the mermaid's floor, because it's 3 and then 3, 1, 2.
So it
blanks.
counts. Yeah. Let's count them up together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, he missed the upper left
6,
one.
7.
He missed. There's
8.
the one in that room in that right there. That room, I think he missed one.
Yeah, I do too. There's definitely a couple in those top rooms.
So
and I don't think he
12,
went to them.
it looks like. Yeah, it's just the one, though, I think. That left one that he missed. So let's get those blessed RNGs in chat that is the crown, because I would love to see... No offense,
That's
Salty
a
Fry.
forfeit.
As Salty Fry has gotten his 0-0, so there's no harm, no foul of him participating in this race. But it would be great to see something important in a chest that he skipped over. Just it makes for great entertainment and saltiness after the post game.
It also means you have to meticulously check every other chest. The most out-of-the-way remote ones that you hate and never check. Gotta check them all.
Ghosts of Glare, that's not good, but average amount of hit points.
Fuchsia finds $1 in the Sea Shrine. Gotta love the $1 chest. That, by the way, is normally the 10 GP chest. That's the smallest it gets in the vanilla. They're back-to-back 1 GP chests. That's just awful.
I don't know if it's something that you can look into, but I just feel like it's more common than just an anecdotal mention. But that's actually twice this game in which the same floor of a dungeon had the same value item in 2 chests.
Yeah, the people that play this game are a lot more superstitious than the people that work on it, I'll tell you that much.
Alright, so Zalnop, well, hopefully Zalnop does his diligence and checks all the chests in this room. Yeah, there's 2. Oh, so there is 13. I was right.
Ha! Technically correct. The best.
That's kind of correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the best part about these 13 is that once you get to this point, there's no enemy encounters, which makes it a very nice place to check.
Yeah. It's sort of a relaxing reprieve. The game designers just said, you know what, forget it. Let's just put a nice, easy place right in the middle of a dungeon.
Oh, and Salty Fry lucks out with 170 gold and a soft potion.
And another $500. Starting to wonder, where's that slab?
You mean the
Or pardon me, crown. Crown. I do mean the crown. Thank you. You were quick. You were quick on that. It's good.
So we know it is not in the Sea Shrine. We know it is not in the Earth Cave. We obviously have cleared Volcano. No one has cleared Castle Ordeals, and as far as I've seen, I know Quicklet was in the Ice Cave, but I missed his entire Ice Cave run, so I don't know what's in the Ice Cave itself. So we're taking our first look at Barrage Tower here.
If you're wondering why they haven't gone to Ordeals or the Ice Cave, none of the 3 of our on-stream runners, it's not incentivized in this stage. So normally, and it's common feature in the randomizer to incentivize Ordeals and or the Ice Cave, meaning the last chest in each of them, the ones that normally have the tail and normally have the floater, have some incentivized item, which is one of the plot items or the mass moon or a ribbon. So it's a set of good items. But since those flags have been turned off, there's no guarantees there's anything of value in there whatsoever. No fiend, no guaranteed treasure. So it's a risky play, and none of our 3 runners have done it yet, but they may have to if that's where the crown ends up.
Yeah, there are 197 chests, or give or take, that the crown can be in. And that basically eliminates the entire 7 in Temple of Fiends, and then the 28 that the crown chests give you. And so the crown is the most wide open item in the game.
Vampires are a rich source of experience points, high in nutrients. So Salty takes them down.
Yeah, sometimes they can appear 5 at a time, and so Harm 4 is going to do a whole lot of everything to those vampires.
Time for the less than greater than chest. Nice and
Oh,
dense.
there it is. It is in Mirage Tower, floor 2.
Oh yeah. Are you gonna get out of here and loot all the chests?
No, you got to be in go mode at this point because you've got massive power glove, 2 ribbons, all 3 of your go mode items. I would stop checking chests if I were Salty Fry. He's probably just, while he's here, he's looking for a ribbon, and you probably check your freebie chest at the top of Sky Shrine. But if I'm him, just take this fight to Tiamat.
And that looks exactly like what he's gonna do.
So the advantage Salty Fry has right now is that he hasn't stepped foot in Earth and doesn't have to check Earth at all. Although, oh no, I apologize. Salty Fry's only going to have 1 ribbon. He has actually not checked the Earth Cave.
Yeah, so he's probably gonna do a little bit more looting up here. Not quite go mode we were talking about. Well, I mean, he's go mode in terms of progress items, but maybe not in terms of ribbons. He might want to look for more. So you could see him scour the Sky Castle on the way up to Tiamat, or not. It's really going to be a decision he's going to be faced with. Right
yeah, definitely. And you can debate. There's just a little bit of a debate on whether or not one really needs the tail, because with 1 ribbon you can put your ribbon on a white mage to ensure the white mage can life 2. But it leaves your fighter open to dying, and your fighter's going to be your greatest source of damage. And so this Blue Dragon's giving Salty a little bit of a sour taste.
Yeah, you put the ribbon, I think, on one of the white mages, and then at the start of the important battles, you cast Wall on the fighter, and there's your ribbon. So
yeah,
you don't need it. Yeah,
did forget that Wall at level 1 means that's pretty much the play. So Salty Fry should be able to just blitz through, check the 4 chests that you get for free on the 3rd floor here. But other than that, just, kind of blitz your way through. Maybe if you're desperate for a ribbon, you check the Elfland Castle chests. But if I were him with Walt level 1, just go.
Yeah, you're living proof that works.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got a little lucky because the one where I didn't have any ribbons and I had Walt at level 1, Chaos had Bane in the 2nd spell slot. So if it had been in the 1st spell slot, I'd have been in trouble.
No Aegis Shield?
No tail.
Yeah.
If I remember, I'm pretty sure. But then again, that was a few days ago. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So
that was weeks ago. Yeah. That's my Team America World Police reference for the night.
Yeah, see, Salty Fry, I think, is now at a point where he probably has realized he needs to take some more fights. 21... you want enough hit points to survive 1 nuke with a better-than-not chance, and I think that area is around 21 to 23 for a better-than-not. Certainly, I'd prefer 25, but... So, Salty has not done Earth Cave, but he also has not done Volcano. Like, he has not killed Carrie.
Exactly.
So, it's going to be questionable on who has the advantage between Fuchsia and Salty Fry here, because Fuchsia has the Volcano clear and the Lich clear already. And so it's only going to be a matter of time before he ends up going to Mirage Tower. I mean, so long as he doesn't go Ordeals or Ice Cave before then, he'll be fine.
The other question is, Fuchsia's got lots of ribbons. Probably not going to have to take all this time that Salty's taken checking chests. Should find the crown pretty close to the bottom of the Mirage Tower, and then should be able to just scoot through the rest. So might make some time up there.
Yeah, and his levels are on par. He has 3 21s, whereas Salty, I think, has a 22, a 21, and a 20. So they're very even in regards to the level distribution at the moment. So, but Fuchsia is going to go check those mermaids, because you got to.
Yeah, have to. Don't know where the crown is. Might check all the chests, just like Salty did.
Yeah, I mean, they don't, they haven't been there. They haven't been, Fuchsia hasn't been to Mirage Tower, doesn't exactly know, and you just got to feel like, well, it could be right up here.
Now it's time. It's time, Sforzondo. We draw ever closer to the top floor of the the Sky Castle. So we're
That's
gonna need to get some
right.
War Mech hype.
Let's
Because
get those bless RNGs in the chat. I definitely want to see some hot Warmac action tonight.
If you ran into one, you're salty. Would you even consider for a second trying to defeat it?
It's tough because, see, the last time I had a chance to do it, I ran, and then he killed my fighter. But I opted to run because I didn't need the experience. I'll debate whether Salty needs the experience, because you might.
And if you lose a white mage or two during the fight, that fighter could gain another whole bunch of levels.
Yeah, and the levels on fighter are going to be actually the thing that's more paramount. You want a few of them on the white mage because, like I said, you want a better than not chance to survive a nuke or a nuclear, but he's definitely that fighter who's going to get more hits with mass immune. He is opting to check all the chests on this, and there's our third
Look
ribbon.
at that. Pays off. Maybe that silver helmet could have gone. No?
Yeah, that's what I would have said. Is the silver helmet in favor? Oh, he only has 2 ribbons. That's right. He hasn't checked Earth Cave yet, but yes, he did actually move it over to his fighter. Good call. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting because this is not necessarily a clear lead for Salty Fry because, like I said, he hasn't killed Lich, he hasn't killed Carry. Those are things that Fuchsia Fantasy has done at this point. Whereas Fuchsia, all he needs to do is get to the 2nd floor of Mirage Tower and he'll hit that go mode. And then he definitely shouldn't, at least in my opinion, check the other ancillary chests. I don't think he'll need a 3rd ribbon.
No, I would anticipate the only thing you would check after that would be those 4 really... Oh,
did you see that?
Oh, I did. The good news for Fuchsia is that he doesn't need to go back to Mermaids because there wasn't anything interesting there. He could just check the chests on the way. That was ugly.
Red Sahags, 7 of them had Death Touch. Missed that with all the other runs, but now we're seeing Red Sahags with Death Touch, and now Zalnop is trying to get through them as well.
Yeah, and if you're thinking, but what about my pro rings? No. You can check your pro rings at the door. When it comes to Death Touch, it cuts through anything.
Yeah, I think it's just because Death Touch is programmed as like some sort of non-elemental or something like that. Kind of like Trance, right? Because Trance doesn't care about your ribbon either.
Yeah, it's physical, non-elemental. It's part of the attack. It's cruel is what it is. It's cruel. The only thing that helps resist it is levels and magic defense. And Fuchsia does not have much of either of those. These airs are pretty nasty.
Yeah. Airs tend to be one of those ones a lot of people avoid. They're terrible to melee against. They have the same evasion as Chaos at 100, depending on where the randomizer sets it, of course, but 100, it could go up from there.
Yeah. And airs, despite being an elemental, and despite being apparently something you fight on every single tile of this floor, are actually runnable. So,
yeah, for some reason the earths and the fires were programmed as unrunnables, but the waters were programmed as unrunnables in the water only fights, but the airs not so much.
Yeah. Instead, we get our Sahags and Wiz Sahags unrunnable.
And now Salty Fry's working on some levels for that ancillary white mage. Getting that one some levels is going to open up its ability to cast, and it got to 8, so it's definitely opened up its ability to cast Invis to 2 or 3 charges you get at level 8, so he's definitely opening that up to be more useful come Temple of Fiends.
First encounter on the Bridge of Destiny, just some sorcerers. In the vanilla game, sorcerers have Death Touch, and in the vanilla game, every hit they land on you, and every subsequent hit, whether it's a hit or a miss, has a chance of Death Touching you. In this game, well, we know that the Arsahags have it, and the sorcerers are really just kittens.
Yeah, more often than not, the Arsahag, wow, that's where I'm stuck at the moment. The sorcerers are typically pretty neutered in this game, just because of their low attack power.
And it looks like Salty's gonna get across the bridge here without too much trouble. There were so many random encounters just before it, but I think he's clear in the table now. Present company excluded, of course.
Meanwhile, Zelnop is down there about to engage in his Kraken fight.
Zelnop thinks safety first and puts his weakest party member in the lead. I mean, safety first for everybody else.
Meanwhile, Fuchsia Fantasy has picked up his chime. And just to make you aware of what the off-stream runner is doing, Quicklet is just defeated Tiamat, but I think Quicklet is in the same position. I have not seen his orb count, but I think he's in the same position that Salty Fry's in, with only 2 orbs lit. He keeps going through his first menu very, very fast. It's either 2 or 3 orbs lit.
Fuchsia getting very close to finding the crown now. Picks up the white shirt. Can be used as an item to cast Invis too, but all the white mages probably have quite a few charges of it, so...
Yeah, in addition to that, there's nothing else on in level 3 that is really too terribly important, so Invis 2 is not getting hampered by anything. Maybe it takes some of those Invis 2 charges on some of the lower fights, carry and whatnot, but you're fine in that regard.
You can also give it to one of the white mages if you get promoted to wizards that has a gold bracelet, because it's the same absorb as a gold bracelet, and it'll give you fire resist and status resist.
Or you can give it to your fighter and have 4 casters of Invis 2, as if you didn't like over and above the amount of evasion you would get. So we've got people coming and going. Salty Fry is coming out. Zelnop is going in. Fuchsia Fantasy has found his crown. It's time to nope out.
Yeah, that's it. Not even checking another chest.
Yeah, need to.
So, you know, by virtue of the fact that Fuchsia didn't check any of the other less than greater than chests, I'm going to say he doesn't check a single thing to Tiamat. He might not even check those 4 side-by-side ones. Like, they were...
He should, I think, because you never know. But, like, if you didn't check the remainder of chests in that room, he isn't going to go for the 4.
Exactly. That's my thinking. And as far as we know, that's probably right. I don't think there was anything good in those 4, but there was a ribbon on that floor, but not in a place he's going to look. So
no, and that floor is really mixed bag to me. If you're checking that without warp, hopefully you're gaining some levels, because you do kind of got to walk to a lot of places. 4 on the top, 6 on the side, 4 on the other side. You're doing a bit of walking in there, so hopefully you're gaining some levels in that regard.
Yeah, it's still like rooms with 4 and 6 chests is pretty good.
And I think I was hearing from some people, the way the randomizer populates, there's a fairly good chance to find a ribbon kind of late, right? Just the way the game populates items as how you normally got them or something?
The reality is that all of the plot items and all the stuff you need to find has a bias towards the beginning of the game, because you need to find those things earlier to unlock later parts of the game, which does mean that the items that you don't need, like the ribbon and the weapons, have a tendency of showing up later because they're never necessary, so they're more liable to take the spots that can't be assigned to plot items. And that's just kind of how it has to be.
So Salty Fry has ran all the way down to carry in record time, but it's taking his sweet time beating her.
Yeah, Salty just emerged from the hardest 2 fiend fights, right? So you get those habits where you got to be very careful. You got to cast Invis 2 a whole bunch of times because Kraken can kill you. Tiamat's got potentially all this magic. Carry by comparison is really nothing to worry about when your party's this level.
Yeah, so now we're seeing Fuchsia Fantasy is approaching the Bridge of Destiny. And so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out with what and when, as we see Zelnop picking up his crown right after this.
Ooh, 5 whiz mummies. Hard to say no to that. Alright, Fuchsia with the...
A lot of thunder.
Fuchsia on the Bridge of Destiny. Warmick!
Oh, it looks like he probably reset his encounter table from the top. This is the very first fight Salty Fry got into. If he gets another Mudgoal Sorcerer fight, then that's likely that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, that kind of spoils it, doesn't it?
Just a little bit, unfortunately. So for those of you who don't know kind of what we're talking about in regards to the encounter table, so there's a set of encounters that you would get. That is unfortunately not actually random. There are 8 encounter types of any particular area, and then there's a particular step count in how those encounters occur. So the randomizer does shuffle the values. It doesn't change the values, but it shuffles where those values are and shuffles how those encounters are slotted. And so when you power cycle your game, it will put you all the way up to the very top of the encounter table. And then from there, you would take your encounters as normal. If you power cycle, it simply resets your position to where the next encounter is. So if you get into an encounter in the overworld that you don't like and you power and you reset, you'll just skip down to the next encounter. Whereas if you power cycled, you'd find that encounter again. And so what we're talking about is it looks like both Salty Fry and Fuchsia Fantasy power cycled their games before they came into this dungeon, as they're encountering the same monsters across the Bridge of Destiny. Ultimately, unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to see a war mech for either of them.
And if you're asking why would they power cycle before going in, the answer is if you wipe in here and you liked what you saw, like you're like, oh, those random encounters were pretty easy, you can power cycle again and get exactly the same set. If you hated what you saw, you don't power cycle. Just do a soft reset, and you'll at least be somewhere else in the encounter table and roll the dice and try to get something easier the second time around.
And there's a handful of advanced metrics that are just beyond me that people could be looking for, advanced runners could be looking for in regards to the encounter table. Either you know what the encounter numbers are and can predict certain encounters, or you know what the encounter steps are after a certain point. If you know the encounter table 13, 15 potentially encounters in, the important fight to look for is the waters on the water floor of Temple of Fiends Revisited. It is ideal if you manage to just avoid encounters entirely on that floor. And some of the really advanced runners can plot that out and know in advance what their encounter table roughly is going to look like on that floor. And it's just crazy to me.
Bad news for them is that in our alpha code line, we're beginning to randomize and shuffle the encounter tables for different regions. So at least that game will no longer be playable.
So we got Fuchsia on the Tiamat fight, we've got Zalnop working through the treasure rooms, and Salty's trying to make his way down to Lich. Off stream, just following Quicklit. Quicklit has actually just killed Lich as well. We only have 4 racers in this match, but buckle up, folks, because it's actually fairly reasonably close between all of our runners, so you never know what's going to happen in this Temple of Fiends.
And Quicklit has just begun his descent into Temple of Fiends Revisited, so has a lead.
You know what's kind of funny is I forget Quicklit's stream lags just a little bit. So I've had Quicklit in the off stream for a little while. And when you said he was in Temple of Fiends, I'm like, no, he's not. And then I remembered his stream lags a little bit. So I refreshed. Sure enough. We're going to keep the action here on these 3 runners, but just know that we do have a runner in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So it is certainly possible, and at this point, potentially likely, that we have an off-stream winner. But Salty Fry is now lighting his Lich Orb. He is heading over to Temple of Fiends. We've got Fuchsia Fantasy, who is now completing the Crown Chain of Quests. Salty Fry is just now starting them, so now you're starting to see, it looks like Fuchsia Fantasy has probably a 45-second lead on Salty Fry.
Which is pretty crazy that it came down to that after such a different route. You're wondering, what are they doing with this crown chest? There is a key-locked door in the Temple of Fiends Revisited that you need the Mystic Key to open, which is what he's going to receive here from the Elf Prince after he resuscitates him with the herb. What's curious about that is, in the original Nintendo game, you have to get the Mystic Key so much earlier that no one ever knew that there was a key-locked door in there, and it wasn't even discovered until the randomizer came along, and people are like, what the heck, there's a locked door in here? Now, you could check by walking up to the door in the Nintendo game and pressing A on it, and we'll say this door is locked with the Mystic Key. But I know when I was a kid, I just walked right through it. It never even occurred to me that it could be otherwise.
Yeah, there are actually a handful of little things like that the developers, the original Final Fantasy, I don't know what they were thinking exactly, but if they thought people were going to sequence break their game, they put a couple of measures in there. The Sarda flag had to be turned, off for the Final Fantasy randomizer. He doesn't give out the rod before you beat the vampire, regardless of whether you find the ruby or otherwise. The guy, we all know this one, but the guy doesn't give out the canoe in the Circle of Sages until you beat Lich himself. The Castle Ordeals is actually locked by the possession of the crown. That's another flag that had to be programmed.
Yeah, and all of those were put into the vanilla game, and no one ever knew, because basically there are no sequence breaks for those. Like, despite as old as it is, there's no way to get there without the crown, without, hacking the ROM.
But you need the crown to get the TNT, so it's one of those things where you already had it, there's no way to not have it.
Now, Salty had to actually kill Garland and then exit back to the Temple of Fiends and then go in here. And now that I've looked in the code, I even know that you talk to the black orb, and it disappears now that you have all 4 orbs lit. But when you step on that tile, it checks again that you have all 4 orbs lit before warping you into TFR. So they double check that door.
It's very interesting.
It is cool. They really tried hard to make sure you couldn't sleaze your way through this game. No way, no how, and you can't.
So we've hit a Frost Giant Frost Wolf fight. If you remember back in the, let's call it 55 minutes ago when Zelnok was grinding on the wolves, this is actually an unrunnable fight in Temple of Fiends Revisited. So the Frost Giant Frost Wolf fight is something he's going to have to contend with. So we have 3 of our 4 runners in Temple of Fiends and Zelnop on the Tiamat fight. So this is going to be a good finish here, folks. Strap yourselves in. We're in for the last ride. If you like what you see, feel free to give our runners a follow. Feel free to give Speed Gaming and its ancillary channels a follow. We certainly appreciate Feasel in letting us broadcast our program here on the Speed Gaming networks. And certainly, though not selfishly, feel free to give us commentators a follow. Feel free to follow Melee Wizard. Melee Wizard does an awesome job of tracking and correcting where I'm wrong. Certainly, we love getting to know people. Follow us on the Discord if this is something that interests you. We'd love to get you plugged in and playing. Certainly give some thought to our spring tournament. We definitely are looking for more members. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to @ me personally. I'm definitely welcoming of new players, as I was once a new player and was just as welcome when I got here. The least I could do is pay it forward.
Yeah, if you're thinking to yourself, it looks like a very intimidating old-fashioned game, it's true that it looks that way. But the randomizer makes it a lot more approachable than the 30-year-old game that you can get on the Nintendo cartridges. And I encourage anyone who loves classic games to give it a shot, because it is very playable in this day and age.
Definitely, and with the experience boosts and the speed boosts and whatnot, it definitely makes the game much more attractive, even for casual players. Even if you don't want to race, certainly feel free to come by and play and ask questions and otherwise, because the developers have done an amazing job with just an amazing program for a game that many of us love, and a ROM hack that we've all fallen in love with. And so yeah, whether you're casual or you want to start speed gaming or start racing with us, feel free to join. We would certainly love to have you.
And I was going to say it one more time, and then I realized we said it like 5 times. So let's have a look back at the action here. Zelnob's heading down into the volcano to finish off Carrie. He's got a couple of fiends to go, which is going to put him at a bit of a disadvantage compared to the other runners. That's where those double dips start to come back and bite you. Meanwhile, Salty and Fuchsia are both in Temple of Fiends, and Offstream Quicklet is too, but Quicklet on the water floor. Offstream, Fuchsia behind there, and Salty hot on his heels.
So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens coming up with the Fiends. We're going to see whether, well, we haven't really seen the regular monsters be too terrible outside of the Marsh Cave. So as we're getting our first look at Lich here, we're going to see whether or not Lich is packing a punch or... Oh, Lich came with Tornado.
You know, that's not bad, because that just means that one of the later Fiends won't have it.
Correct.
Lich, no matter what, is going to be fairly easy just because of the lower HP.
Yeah.
Compared to the following one. So you're going to be able to get through that. You almost want to see something horrible so you know that the pool of skills that is shared with Kraken, Carry, Tiamat 2, and Chaos isn't going to have anything worse, which is good news.
Yes, you're definitely looking for nuclears, but you're also looking for that one Cure 4. Where is that one Cure 4? And so when you beat Lich, you always wonder, well, how many skills did I not see out of him?
And Salty has done just that and is mere paces behind Fuchsia. Gonna use some charges of Fade here against Carry. Well, was thinking about it, but didn't need to. Carry goes down real fast. And Fuchsia's onto the water floor. Now on the same floor as Quicklit Offstream, who's fighting Kraken. It looks like everybody reset before they entered TOFR, so we're going to see very similar sets of encounters between all the runners.
And there's Carry with a nuclear. There are, I think, 4 nuclears on the table. And they also, the 4 Temple of Fiends bosses also share a pool with Warmac. And so, because we didn't see Warmac, we didn't really know what he had. And so, 4 nuclears, 2 nukes, and a Cure 4, and a handful of other nasty spells and skills.
And after all that preparatory work, Carry goes down for Salty in a single shot. The water floor that Fuchsia's on is notorious for unrunnables. It has a battle against 6 waters. It's fairly common and is unrunnable and very annoying because of the sheer volume of water you gotta wade through.
Question in chat, is nuclear count as a skill or spell? Nuclear is the skill, nuke is the spell, and so there are, I think, 2 nukes and 4 nuclears in that whole pool. Other notable skills include Tornado, Swirl, Inferno, and then Toxic, I think, is in the pool.
Yeah, it's a pretty beastie pool.
So now we're taking our first on-stream look at Kraken. We're following Quicklit off-stream, who is approaching the Tiamat fight. Fuchsia's really got, depending on how long this fight takes, Fuchsia's really only a little behind, only slightly. And it looks like, unless something beastly happens, my prediction of a 2-hour finish was wrong, despite having Fade in the upper half of the magic bracket.
And that poor kid went to bed when he could have watched this thrilling conclusion.
Yeah, it looks like, because we really haven't seen anything particularly nasty outside of that Marsh Cave.
And Kraken goes down pretty easily. That's going to let Fuchsia gain a little bit of ground on Quicklit, who's still fighting Tiamat.
It looks like Quicklet's playing just a little conservatively at the moment, which isn't hard to do with 3 white mages. Oh, and just Fuchsia just blitzed
Full
right
speed.
through the Tiamat tile.
Full speed ahead. No time like the present.
Something interesting happened as I was watching Quicklet and watching Fuchsia Fantasy. One of the 2 of them took what I will call sort of improper routing in the water floor, and I can't remember which one off the top of my head because I'm looking at them on 2 separate monitors. One of them what you do is if you follow the wall that any door is adjacent to, there's no encounters on that tile. And I'm going to tell you, I think Fuchsia took the improper movement because Quicklet took a battle with rock goals on the air floor. So if my prediction is correct, Fuchsia should get into a battle with a rock goal 4 or 5 steps after this Tiamat fight.
And this Tiamat's proven to be a bit of a struggle. A little tougher than everything we've fought so far. Quicklet throwing up some Bane strats off stream. It's getting pretty desperate over there. And finally is able to take down Tiamat. After a long and protracted battle, we'll see if Fuchsia can gain any more ground.
Meanwhile, Zalnop is making his way over to Lich. Unfortunately, yeah, these double dips or just not getting to these particular fights is going to hurt him a little bit. Oh, and there's the nuke from Tiamat, almost taking out a third white mage, but he just gets the job done.
Squeaks through, and like the Hydra that keeps growing back, it's going to be no problem. A life 2, a cure 4, and bada boom, bada bam, we're ready for chaos.
He's gonna raise his head up. He's gonna, you know how much that stings?
Men in black. Excellent.
There was my rock goal prediction. So it looks like Fuchsia had a little improper routing on the water floor, which ended up saving me. He ended up taking an extra fight in the water floor, which was kind of risky. Speaking of risk, it looks like he's running from the Twilight Cosplay Club, which is also dangerous.
And on to Chaos Floor. So Fuchsia now 15-20 seconds behind Quicklet.
This is going to be a very interesting finish.
Maybe half a minute to a minute, somewhere in there.
Yeah, he could probably do it if Fuchsia's menuing is on point. He can grab this. He can grab this lead back. Oh, he opens with poison damage. Did nothing for the other walled up, ribboned up fighter and white mages.
Yeah. Left the rookie in the lead with the white shirt, survives to get off an extra one. That's good luck that he came through with 8 health. He might get a couple more Invis 2s out of him, just because of that. Gets the heal 3 off. Now it's time to start swinging with the sword, I think, and turn it over to Fade. Try to bring down this beast.
Oh, and there's a Bane that killed nobody. It's going to be an interesting finish, folks, and I'm sorry that you can't see Quicklet off of stream. Five for 278. That's a modest amount of absorb out of chaos.
Do you keep pumping him up, or do you keep swinging and start casting Fade like a madman?
It's really tough because you're getting all your hits. I guess if I were him, I'd probably keep swinging, but realistically, perhaps you should throw one more charge on him.
Here comes the Fade Storm.
And so Quicklet actually has crossed the finish line. Quicklet has finished in first place. Official SRL time of 1:47.19. Pressure is on. If Fuchsia can finish it under probably 30 seconds after that, he would clear his .01 and give it a .00. But he's got to be real frustrated if he doesn't clear the 00 with another 01.
That would be painful. Out of fades. Time's ticking. One more there.
Let's see. So Fuchsia did opt for another charge of Power Glove.
And that might be long enough for that .00 to tick up to a .01 by now.
And there's an ineffective zap for nobody.
Maybe if we're behind, maybe not. It's very close. Yeah, he's just started running with the others. It's all down to the sword now. Not gonna waste any time casting any other spells.
Still waiting. And there it is.
There it is.
Fuchsia Fantasy has finished in second place with an official SRL time of 1:48.16. Eyeball test says that's good for 0.01.
Yeah, it's going to be more than 0.5% behind. It's less than 0.5%, but it's going to round up, not down. And that is just so disappointing after a 2-hour marathon like this. But, all props to Fuchsia. Gave it everything he had, just not quite enough to catch up at the final seconds.
Yeah, and it's a real shame because that's his second very close finish for this round. We are joined in chat right now by our first place finisher, Quicklet. GG to Quicklet.
Thank you.
So, Quicklet, you are our off-stream runner, so just talk us through kind of your routing a little bit and how you felt about the seed.
There was a lot of tough enemies pretty early on, so I did a Peninsula power grind because we had Harm 2 early on, so I got up to, I don't know, around level 10 or so, at least on 3 of my characters. And then once I got to Marsh Cave, which was pretty brutal, I was really happy that I had done that. Ended up going to Ice Cave pretty early on, which was nothing at all, but I did an eye grind because the eye was really, really easy, and Fade, I had no Fade charges yet, so I wanted to at least get high enough where I would be able to cast Fade. So, and after that, everything was pretty linear afterwards.
Just a quick update. As you can see, Salty Fry, our third place finisher, finished with an official SRL time of 1:49.33. Quicklet, where did you end up going first after we got out of the Marsh Cave and everything that was there? Where did you end up going first?
I think I did a first floor Earth, and there wasn't anything there. And then I went to, after Crescent Lake, I went to Ice Cave first off, because I didn't feel like I was going to be able to kill Carrie with Fade being so late.
What did you find? You didn't find, because none of our on-stream runners went Ice Cave, so was there really anything of note in there?
The absolute best thing in Ice Cave was ice armor. There was nothing else. Like, it was all garbage. But the eye was super easy, and I grinded him up to about level 20 or so. And after that, the rest of the game was a lot easier.
And so now we are joined in chat by Fuchsia Fantasy, our second place victor. Fuchsia, 4 races, 2.01s. How do you feel?
Meh.
I mean, as somebody with a 0.01, I can definitely sympathize.
Yeah, I mean, I was so close, I was just like, darn it, when I saw the dot done.
You really played a fairly solid match front to back. You had, we speculated on whether or not you had a lead, because you went completely different from Salty. You went and cleared the entirety of Earth first. You found the ruby, then took the ruby bait, and it got you your Massa and Adamant for the Lich fight, but unfortunately no floater. So how did you feel when you found floater in the volcano?
Not real. I didn't really want to do. Well, I wanted to get the levels out of Earth Cave. I mean, I got a couple levels, so I was that much closer to tier 6, and Fade was there, so yeah, I know how I say, friends don't let friends dive Earth, and usually that's the case.
And then you cleared the whole thing out, so we were remarking, like, that does not look like Fuchsia. Like, is someone else sitting at his keyboard or what?
And I just figured, I'd try the Earth dive because I didn't have Fade, and I guess, it's just like, I don't know.
So now we are joined in chat by Salty Fry, our third place finisher. Salty, GG.
Thank you.
While I've got you in here, Salty, how did you feel about that Temple of Fiends? I mean, we all experienced the Harsh Cave as it was presented, but it was a fairly straightforward seed the rest of the way, don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. After that, it seemed really straightforward compared to the other 2 races that I've done in this stage, where I had to just kind of eke my way past chaos in the end. This is kind of a cakewalk compared to that. Like you said, after that Marsh Cave, that was the only part that really felt like a bit of a drag at all.
Your chaos fight in particular was a breeze. We sort of glanced quickly off stream, and then we saw Fuchsia, and they like ran out of charges of Fade, and they were only doing a little bit of damage, and they had to grind it out over the course of quite a relatively long battle. But then you just waltzed up and like had no problem at all. So was it the extra charges of Fade or uses of the Power Gauntlet? Like, how did that go so well for you?
I used it twice, the Power Gauntlet, to start with, and I saw you only did a little bit of damage, so I used it 2 more times, so maybe that helped a little bit.
I think he's making up for his melee Kindle of Chaos last night.
Yeah, absolutely. After that thing, that was something else. 7.5 minutes of doing 2 damage at a time.
And so now we're seeing Zalnop make his pass through. Zalnop is our last racer, but he's certainly not last in our hearts. So we're going to follow his progress through, and hopefully he has a pretty clean Temple of Fiends, just like everyone else did. Unfortunately, he made it all the way to the eye and forgot that he had the key, or did not have the key, and so he had to reset and come back.
I kept telling myself over and over and over again, do the key quest, do the key quest, do the key quest. Did anyone else go Mirage before Sea Shrine?
No, I had full cleared state.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that's how I won, because I went to Mirage Tower and found the crown before I went to Sea Shrine, so I was able to just go mode C.
It's a fairly risky maneuver for not having the cube.
Well, I already had the slab, so I went, I figured there was 2 things to do in that area, as far as get the chime and then, clear out Mirage Tower. So
Yeah.
with the first encounter was really long, so I didn't have to fight anything to do all of that stuff, really.
Yeah, with exit, you can just sort of loot the place real quick, right? And then forget about the top half.
Yeah, I considered doing that as well, but the fact that I didn't have the cube at the time kind of put me away from it. And like you said, yeah, that first battle was quite a ways after the start, and the second one was pretty far after that as well, at least when you were in a dungeon. So yeah, getting to even all the way through the second floor, I think you could have gotten all the chests in Mirage Tower pretty easily.
And the first encounter in Mirage Tower was vampires anyway, so I was all about killing them.
Yeah, those were nice. Harm 4 did a nice job on them.
Yeah, I gotta say, these are some fairly solid times for Fade being in the back half of the spell table, so definitely GG to all of you guys.
I was worried because I felt like I was kind of low level going into Temple of Fiends as well. I was trying to gain levels all the way through, but I still felt like I was pretty low level at that point.
Yeah, like low level, unpromoted, working on like early tier gear that you found near the beginning of the game. Everybody was, because there was that ribbon pretty early on, and then one later on for most of you. You either found one in Earth, or I think somebody picked one up in the Sky Castle. And so to just kind of sneak through TOFR, because it was pretty painless, to be honest.
If I remember right, none of you guys saw Waters on the water floor.
I saw Waters. They had low HP.
I did too.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, he doesn't remember right, but we are.
Well, you didn't see
where were
mine,
you?
probably.
Fade took care of them relatively easily, although they did hit pretty hard.
Fortunately, it didn't really matter what hit hard, because you had so much healing that you didn't, as long as you were at 1 HP or more at the end of the fight.
Yeah, I called the party a Hydra. You could cut off 2 heads, but as long as somebody survives, the whole thing can come back pretty easily.
Well, Tiamat almost killed me with... Was it Tiamat that had nuke?
Yep.
Tiamat 2? Yeah. So he got 2 of my white mages, one down to 11, and the other one was at 60 or something like that. So that probably would have put a damper on things.
So no War Mechs tonight. I think everybody reset their encounter table just about every dungeon, because we're seeing Zelnop go through the same seafood party platter fight halfway down the hallway. There should be another seafood party platter fight coming up, I think.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I did get ambushed by 6 lobsters and 2 sea trolls. So I took like 6 cremates and 2 whatever the lobsters cast, lit 2 or something like that. That was really fun.
Alright, Zalnop approaches the final trifecta. Kraken 2, not too many steps further beyond that is Tiamat 2, and then hopefully on to Chaos.
I know there was only 4 of you, but none of you found the tail, so obviously when we found the Go Mode stuff, we realized tail was really not an important factor. But it does kind of stink to find things like the Aegis Shield and not be able to pair it with anything, or find life to it too and not be able to give it to your fighter.
Yeah. I don't know. Did somebody go to ice?
I did, yeah.
So it's probably more deals, or the locked chest or somewhere crown locked. I don't know if anyone did the crown chest.
I didn't see anybody do any crown chests. It was so last minute, and everybody was so go mode by the time they got it that it just wasn't even on the table.
I'm pretty sure all 4 of you guys did your crown chests after Tiamat 1. Or
The crown quest.
yeah.
I checked the Northwest Castle and Dwarfs, but I didn't find anything. So it could have been Canaria or Temple of Fiends or Marsh.
Not that Zalnop doesn't need any more time wasters, but these airs have heal.
Yeah. Yeah, these airs are pests for a time.
I think they had poison as well or something, didn't they? I think. I remember them doing a number on me when I ran into them in the Sky Castle.
And there it is.
What, poison?
Yeah, damage poison.
I know something
Watch out,
else had.
folks. That heal 2 is precociously right next to the exit button.
No.
Oh,
Don't.
I made sure exit was slot. It was in the 3rd slot, just because of the exit boss.
That
least I
exit
re-
boss is very underrated.
Well, at least I didn't forget I had exit.
That's fair.
A little bit of bad luck with his first attempt to run. There we go. On to Tiamat 2. The opening salvo from the Zeus Gauntlet for 15 damage. Now a little more conservative with some Invis 2 casts.
We're just waiting on that nuke. One of his white mages is almost 400 hit points, so, stands a pretty good chance of surviving that nuke, but the other one's at 241, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Zelnop's going aggressive here. More Zeus Gauntlets instead of any kind of healing.
That's a
Doesn't matter one way or the other, yeah.
That's a pretty rough call, because Zeus Gauntlet did 30 damage there. I mean, really, Zeus Gauntlet's going to contribute less, but realistically, what was that white mage going to do? Heal himself? I mean...
Well, if you're
bag anyway.
just trying to survive, yeah. I mean, there's not a lot to do sometimes. You just gotta fill the time.
By the way, if anybody goes back and watches the VOD, I was slightly wrong. I was right in my prediction, wrong in my explanation of it. It was actually Quicklet who had a slightly improper routing on the water floor. You ran into a pack of rock golems before the Tiamat fight. Following the door, the wall along the door prevented those encounters in those 4 or 5 steps, so everyone's getting the rock golem fight after the Tiamat fight.
I thought the last fight was Twilight Club.
It is, but
Ooh.
you took You were fine. Quiklet took, I think, an extra encounter on the water floor that you guys didn't. Quiklet,
Oh,
you had an encounter.
I reset out. I reset out of the first fight in when I get into Topher. I got it unrunnable. I just reset out.
Oh, okay.
An early Bane knocks out the dock, so Zalnop down to just Zal himself and Luna. This got a little trickier.
It did, because unfortunately you only have one cast of Invis 2, or one caster of Invis 2, and Chaos is kind of, packing a little bit of a wallop. You don't want to take too many of those hits.
Yeah. Better Cure 4 up that night, I think. Yeah. Or Fighter, pardon me, we never did find that tail.
Oh, no!
What happened?
Oh, zapped through the ribbon. That's heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, this doesn't look like it's going to happen unless Chaos has got 500 health or less.
Ow.
I mean, you could just make sure your ribbon are walled up and Viz 2 yourself and start taking some swings. 2 damage at a time. You never know.
Well, he has Zeus Gauntlet.
Yeah, got the Zeus Gauntlet. He can do better than that. Zalnot's going to try and do... Ooh, good thing on the Cure. Otherwise, the XXXX... I was probably going to resist it anyway. Oh, 300. That was a good...
The Zeus Gauntlet's on dock, if I remember right.
Not dock. Well, this is getting pathetic. Let's see if there's any hope here.
See if we can trigger Quiklet's PTSD. Oh, there's a crit.
Okay.
Oh, no, I guess I was wrong. It was on Luna. Look at that.
Oh, that gives you hope. That gives you hope. You could
7
get
Cure 4s. This is doable if Zalnop can endure.
This ain't over.
2 as well. And Cure 3, actually. He's got a good bit of endurance so long as he doesn't take any melee damage.
Hey, he got enough Ice 2s off. He's sticking with attacking instead of the Zeus Gauntlet. I'm thinking Zeus Gauntlet.
Definitely, because those crits aren't going to come every so often. At least you get 20 or 30 a shot with the Zeus Gauntlet. He's going to take way too much in spell damage. Either that or he's hoping to...
Yeah, get him stuck in a loop.
I don't think that's going to happen here, though. If Zalnot comes back and watches this, there he goes. He goes right for the Zeus Gauntlet. Okay.
Yeah, he's had enough of that.
That's going to be better.
Had enough of that. Yeah, go for a Cure 4. Why not? You got 7 of them. How long do you think you're going to live?
I don't know, because he is resisting a fair amount of the spells, and unless he takes a huge melee shot... Oh, there's a nuclear out of the spell list.
Ah! Only 120.
Brushes it off. Poison for 59. Brush now Chaos is getting to the spell sheet, or the skill sheet.
Yeah, if you're not pulling for Selma up here, you got no heart. This is amazing. This might be the most ridiculous comeback.
I'm pulling for him because I think he's still good for like a 0.2 or so at this point. Or no, not a 0.2, like 0.35, less than 0.4 maybe.
This is a finisher forfeit, I think. I think you go through this, and if it doesn't go your way, you throw it in. So you got to give her everything she's got. Back to the club.
They should never do math in Twitch. It's definitely he's still gunning for I think a sub 0.25.
If I recall correctly, Chaos did not have that many hit points.
No, it wasn't that bad. This could totally work.
We need some more of them bless RNGs in the chat. Oh, playing dangerously close with fire there. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Blaze is on the list. Now Chaos is tired of spells and he's going for skills.
Luna just throwing Zeus the gauntlet.
And laying down the gauntlet here.
Running the gauntlet, throwing the gauntlet. I don't know how many more metaphors I have, but they involve gauntlets.
He is a gauntlet legend.
Ooh. Or is this going to be the Gauntlet Dark
That's
Legacy?
it.
It's over!
Zalnob does it.
Invoking the spirits of Zeus, slays Chaos with an impressive display of white magic and thunder gauntlet usage. GG, Zalnob. Every bit of your 0.2 or so Chaos point was earned.
Yes, and that is 4th place with an official SRL time of 2:07:47. So not only did we get a close finish, we also got an epic finish at the end of that as well.
We might get Zelnup in for a parting word, but let's walk through the rest of you guys for your final thoughts. Start with you, Fuchsia.
Friends don't let friends dive Earth Cave, even when it has the ruby.
But it almost worked, so close. A great effort. Quicklet?
Earth Cave is a good idea sometimes, especially when it has a ruby.
Ooh, controversy. Controversy in the analysis.
A ribbon, too.
Salty Fry?
Yeah, it was nice to have a smooth run for a change in this stage.
Alrighty, so now the moment you have all been waiting for. We are joined in the chat by the Gauntlet Master himself, Zalnob. Zalnob, GG, brother.
The Gauntlet Master, as in the Zeus Gauntlet Master.
Yeah, the Gauntlet Legend, we were calling you for a while there. Congratulations on a exciting 4th place finish.
Yeah.
We're about to wrap up the stream here, but we just want to congratulate you on finishing in a very exciting finale. Can you talk a little bit about how that fight went? Like, what were you thinking when that zap went through that fighter?
Oh, great. I only found the one ribbon, so I was kind of expecting something like that to happen, and I probably should have moved the ribbon over to the fighter before that fight started, but yeah, it's just one of those things that seems to happen.
Well, you somehow made the best of it and pulled off a miraculous, exciting comeback, and I was just pleased to watch it.
All right, well, I'm glad to have been entertaining at least.
You sure were. All right, we're just wrapping it up here. Sforzando, any final thoughts?
Man, like I said, aside from that harsh cave, it was a fairly straightforward match. But we're 4 races deep, and we're 4 very close finishes, 3.01s and a 0.00 second place. So this flag set has failed to disappoint despite the seeming lack of offensive nature.
You would have no idea, but we've had so many tight finishes with a tie of 0-0 and several rounds that have handed out 0.01s in only 4 races. So it's phenomenal, and I'm having a lot of fun calling the races. One last shout out to Speed Gaming 4 for hosting us this evening. That's awesome. Our tracker Melee Wizard did a fantastic job. You were all over us, even on our mistakes. Follow these runners. Follow my co-commentator. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and good night, everybody.
Good night.